Welcome everybody to the Tech Woke podcast. On this podcast, we talk about tech careers, life in tech, and just talk about different things that we deal with in tech. So today we brought in a good person, a good friend of mine. Met her at the job I currently work at. Her name is Nisha. She's a senior information system security officer. She's been in cybersecurity for a good while now, and she has a lot of experience that can help a lot of people. So I'm introducing you, but you can introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. My name is Nisha. My name is Waynisha, but I go by Nisha. And yes, like Chris said, we met at where we work at currently, and um, it's cyber is pretty huge.
Yeah, so like I remember Nisha, I used to see around the building. I was like, you was a guard at the time, and we talked about transitioning careers and things like that. And the thing I always appreciate about you, you always listen to things that people saying, so and then used it for your own. And then now you're at what you're now, where you're at now, and you're doing pretty good to the point where I asked you for advice. So let me just go back in the beginning. So, no, but first off, like, how was it in the beginning? Where did you grow up?
So I'm originally from the state of Maryland. Um, I grew up over in a little area called the Eastern Shore across the Bay Bridge.
Okay.
Just small area with farmland, like a country girl. But yep, so I was in a small little area.
Okay, this little smaller area. So, transition, did you go to college?
Yes, I started off at Anne Arundel Community College,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
then I finished off at Morgan State.
Okay, so
So yeah.
so what was your majors like? Like when you was in community college, like what did you major in?
So
And at Morgan State,
I,
what was your major?
so I my majors were I was going to start with nursing. I did all my prereqs for nursing. Um, but I was good, had great grades, but the nursing wait list to get into the program was like 2 years long.
Oh, I heard about
Um,
that.
and at the community college, and I didn't want to sit around for 2 years, so I ended up enrolling in Morgan, and they was going to take all my nursing prereqs because if anybody know going in and doing nursing prereqs, you doing all the biology, nutrition, A&P, and they ended up they had a major called health education,
Hmm.
and they would accept my nursing prereq. So I just was like, okay, I'm going for it. I didn't want to do those prereqs in vain. So yep,
Okay, so you just majored in just health and that. I got you. So
yeah,
so after you
health.
graduate, where did you start working?
So after I graduated, I ended up starting to work. Just I didn't work in my field, so I had experience because I had worked while I was in school, with doing like administrative work, and then I was able to someone had worked I knew worked at Blue Cross, and they needed someone at the help desk, and I was able to land a help desk position, and basically that's how like it basically really started from there with me getting into IT.
Okay, so you didn't have the original major so when you majored, you got into health. Um, Originally, you majored in health, and then you slowly started. You didn't work in your field at first. You did just
I
administration
didn't.
work. You slowly didn't get into IT. So when you got into IT, when you did a help desk, did you have any certifications? And where was it at?
I didn't at the time have any cert. I got I was able to get a cert, while I was there. Everybody else around me was talking about Security Plus, Security Plus. So I ended up learning like where to go, what book to get, and studying with some people, that also worked there at the job, and I eventually got my Security Plus.
Okay, so you got the security plus. Okay, so
Hmm.
what made you want to get into IT or cybersecurity? Was it mainly because of money, or you just wanted, you was always interested in it? What was your why did you get it want to get into the field?
Okay, so I had um again friends around me. Like one of my friends is a DBA, and he was like telling me about you could get into cybersecurity. So when you hear that, you thinking like I don't know too much technical, but he was like, no, 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 you could work in the compliance side of cyber. You just have to be able to understand policies and procedures, and so from there, I started, once he had hooked me up with someone that was like a ISO in the field already, and I was able to ask questions to understand what was, really happening in that part of cyber.
Okay, so over him telling you, it just you just slowly started getting interest in it.
Yeah, started
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
the interest. Yep, interested in it, and talking to the person that he hooked me up with that already was
Okay.
working in the field, who had hands-on experience, so they were able to tell me more.
So that's good. That's the one thing I do want to highlight is always having people in your place to network with. Like even your friend is a good mentor that helps you understand and help guide you to another person that can help you get you to your next goal. So
Yep.
that's good that you have that. So when you was working in ITs, like, so what was after you left that job? Where did you go?
So after I left that job, I so while let's go back because while I was in school, also I did an internship, um, and it wasn't anything for my field. Again, it was interesting. It was like I wanted to learn, but I also it was paying. It was a paid internship. Originally it was for pen testing, to learning how to do pen
Oh,
testing.
that's good.
So
Hmm.
the people that I ended up interning with, they were very, very knowledgeable, and they were like very helpful. It made me, see on the other side how technical pen testing could be and how interesting it was. So I also was interested in pen testing, but cyber, because I had did administrative work, the compliance side of it, I felt like it was more fitting for me.
Hmm.
So I kind of, I still learned what I did at my for my internship, but I stayed. I ended up ultimately staying with cyber.
Okay, so
And so
during that program where you was learning about the hacking and red team stuff, what did you learn?
we mainly, it was very simple. Like we went into like doing Kali Linux, and he taught me how to run certain scripts and different languages to use. It was really basic. Sometimes I would run reports and copy and paste and go through to see, I would send them to them so they could go through and look. Um, it was really basic, but it was good. It was way more than what I ever would have known if I had never even had the internship.
That's good, yeah. I took a program in the past, so that's pretty much it. We actually did some, we hacked each other, did some
Hmm.
capture the flags. Same thing, script calculator. So I did the same thing. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you're transitioning to cyber. Before you get into cyber, what cert did you, I think did you try to get another cert before you got into cybersecurity?
Um, no, I ended up going into um like I ended up getting into doing some work. Again, I hooked up when I hooked up with the guy. He had told me that in order to get into this, you have to get your cat, right?
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, how would I go about doing that? What do I need to do? I need to? So he basically was telling me, Nice 837 was like all you need to know, all the stuff you need to know is right
Uh-huh.
there.
Hmm.
So I basically, and he also introduced me to other niche special publications that like 853, to know like the security controls. So he's like, you need to know what these are, what they do. So we went. He, was able to just help me. I actually had him to ask questions, which as I was reading through the publications, if I had questions, I would ask. So I was able again to get a small, for a little bit, I was able to do some security assessor job, like just for like a year, and just to get my, again, for the person that was helping me. So he's like, we can get here and then get some exposure, and then you can go for your CAP. So I went for
Okay.
my CAP.
So you got some exposure. So you went and got
Yeah.
your exposure, and then you start working on your cap. So what can you explain what the cap is
So
and
it was
how go ahead.
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, can you explain what the cap is, and also can you explain how it relates to RMF or ISO or IA?
Okay, so the CAP originally was called a Certified Authorization Professional. ISC Square, they changed it now, and it's governance risk compliance. That's what the test is called now. At this time, so it basically goes into all the steps of how to the government secures their information systems before they go into production.
Okay.
Basically, the CAP goes over all six of those steps, and when I say all six of the steps, you need to know who, what, when, where, why. Why are you doing this? Who's doing it? What is the outcome? And that basically, at that time, the CAP would test you on all of that information.
Okay. And just so everybody can know that for those RMF steps, there's now seven. So just
Yes,
want to keep that in mind.
yes, yes. It is now
And so,
7, but at the
so
time, yeah, it was 6
yeah,
when I
it's
took
six.
it.
Yeah. So okay. So at what point did you get your clearance? 'Cause I know you had to get a clearance, like to move up into the cybersecurity space. So
Yes.
what point?
So I ended up getting into. So I went back. I ended up getting to as I'm doing other things. At times, I had two jobs. I was working part time as a security guard at one of the government buildings, and um, it was, that was the way you could get your clearance. And
Get
I
sponsored. I
was
got you.
like sponsored, yeah, get sponsored, because sometimes you can have your public trust, because when I worked in certain, especially like the assessor, all you needed was your public trust. You didn't need a secret or top secret clearance at that time. So yeah, it just, I went through becoming just part-time working as a security guard, and was able to get that. So I also was like getting exposure to physical security, which also would help ultimately when I would interview for a ISO position
That's
on
good.
top of it.
So that's good. So you just kind of, a lot of people when they hear about, oh yeah, I want to become a security guard just to get a clearance, to humble yourself to do that, that's a lot. So can you explain some of the benefits of the clearance that, if people trying to get one?
Yes, the benefits of a clearance, already having a clearance, is, contractors a lot of times they don't want to have to like pay sponsor you and pay for it. So if you have a clearance already, it helps a lot for you to at least even get looked at. As far as even getting your application pulled, because a lot of times it'll ask you, I know especially like on Indeed, do you have a clearance and what clearance you have? And sometimes they won't even let you go any further if you don't have a clearance, or if the clearance is not at the level they're seeking the person to have. So it does help a lot.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. So while you was doing that security job, you was studying for your CAS at the same time, or that's a separate?
No, it was separate. It was separate. I was just trying to get the clearance so I can get into a better um
Paying role.
job
Yeah,
role and stuff. Yes, yes.
yeah, 'cause that's when I first met you. I was like, always see you, and that's why I took an interest in you because talking to you about security plus, just talking to you humbling, just like, you already did all these things in your past and you're talking to me. You're doing your job and you're talking to everybody. You're making sure everybody's good. And then you're also networking with so many people because what people don't know is that the building we were in, where there were so many cybersecurity folks in there, anybody can get you a job. So just the people to understand, just make sure you're always nice, humble, respectful towards people because you don't know who's walking, whatever point you are in your
Yeah, that is
life.
absolutely correct. I was, always trying to be humble and nice to people coming in and out. Met a lot of good people, especially when they know like the clearances you already hold and maybe the experience you already have. They will try to help you if you're a good person and nice, kind to people. So that's all I always try to, make sure I'm that person. And it definitely paid off. It paid off.
I got you. So I remember after this role that this is when you first got your first ISO job. I think you went and took your first ISO job. So tell me about your experience there.
So my first ISO job was pretty. It was, for one, it was in Quantico, so it was pretty. It was a drive. Um, I was basically put on to do a lot of continuous monitoring. Exposed to knowing EMAS and how it works, and working on a team. I had a team of like, I think it was like 8 or 9 people. So it was a team, and each person had separate parts of RMF you were working on, depending on what package you were working on with your teammate. Maybe somebody would have been doing poem management. Maybe someone was doing continuous monitoring continuous monitoring management, meaning like sometimes we would just go through the conditions and try to remediate those. So it was just depending there for my first ISO role. I really was doing basically everything, every step
Okay.
of RMF.
What was like the pay range for this position?
So coming in, since I was, I got it was around between 85 and 90, the low
Okay.
90s. Yeah,
So
85 and low 90s. Yep.
so did I work as an ISO. Can you tell me about some of the hardships you experienced during this position that you're willing to share?
Yeah, yes. At times, sometimes you have to be a go-getter, and you have to be able to go ask people for help and and go search for information yourself. Um, you have to be, you have to find some type of rhythm as far as, having being organized, knowing what you have to do every day, every week, what needs to be done, what needs to be reviewed, what needs to be updated. You know, set out time to do certain things. It's can be a challenge because it's a lot to keep up with. And also depends on how many programs you're managing at one time and what's due at certain times. So it can become a lot. But if you, like I said, have a great rhythm and, keep up, um, it can work. I mean, as a starting out, I had to go in sometimes on the weekend, a week, like maybe a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours, to make sure I'm up on top of things. Because that's the type of person I am. I want to make sure my work is getting completed, and if
That's,
I have to put in the extra hours, I will.
yeah, that's good. Yeah. So some of the things I experienced as an ISO is gatekeeping. A lot of people can gatekeep information. Another thing that I, did with was when you first get in as an ISO, maybe you might not know. You're basically a point person that found out information. So some people can be like, I'm not the person for this position, but they really are. So, this is some of the things we deal with as ISOs. It's just we'll have to make sure the situation is okay. So after you
Yeah.
did this ISO role, so then what was your next role?
My next role is actually where I am right now.
Okay.
Been so this role I've been there, um, and I've actually went through contract changes. So currently where I'm at now.
Okay, so like when you got to this role, can you kind of go in a little depth because there's a it's a good story. So you came in this role and so you left the other position. So
Yes,
you came in
mhm.
this role and you kind of took like a intermediate back step to be closer, closer to
Yeah,
home, right?
yeah.
Okay, so
So go ahead.
okay, yeah. So
Okay.
so so like during this position, you're basically still doing the same things. You're still doing it. So still doing controls, still doing things like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So can you go a little bit more depth and maybe did anything change?
Yeah, so during I was applying trying to get back closer to home because I was driving like get taking like 2 hours to get home sometimes from where I was at. And opportunity came available and I actually took a small pay cut. I did. I took a small pay
Okay.
cut to get back to the area and to to work so I wouldn't have to travel so far. Um, when I got there, um, I, it was someone that was there that had been there for like 6 years, so she was basically like the senior. Um, however, when I guess I got there in like in November. By February, she was leaving, and um, I basically had just got all of my uh access to everything. It can take months to get access to everything you need. So
hmm
as she's basically as I'm like just starting to get access, I got this person leaving, and she knows everything about the program. And then I was like, oh my goodness, I'm basically gonna be. I didn't have someone for like the girl that came in. She couldn't start for like 2 or 3 weeks coming in the building. So it was just me. And I mean, I worked for on a huge program, like
So
huge.
so yeah. So I remember that. So can you tell me for people that's listening to help navigate that situation, how did you get your? So you're in a huge program. It's a different process on how they do RMF. How did you navigate it coming in? What did you do?
Um, so I was asking questions. I read a lot, trying to understand all the systems we have within the program. Um, I basically, I asked, I ended up asking you for help too, like
Ain't no
at
problem.
times.
You got to ask for help. Ain't no
Yeah,
problem.
at
You got to lean on
times
your
to
resources. You got to lean
yes,
on your
because
resources. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying?
it was a new agency. Again, if you're going from agency to agency, it's different policies too. That's a whole nother thing. So I'm just trying to learn um, everything there is to learn about this program. I just kept it moving. Like, um, I would try to look back at things. I would ask my star rep. I would go down to his desk and say, hey, I'm new here. Um, could I get some insight on a certain, information, something that I had to do, like a task I had to do, or I would ask. A lot of times, I would ask my engineers. They were a big help. Sometimes I know some people don't have good essays, engineers they can go to, but I had really good engineers to help me along the way about what certain things do, what certain systems do, and why,
hmm
and when it was put in place. So I had to basically just jump in and get all of my feet wet. Like I just read a lot and to keep up
That's
with
good.
everything.
We just hopped in the fire basically. He was like, I got to do what I got to do.
I
That's what I
really
kept
had no
telling you.
choice. I really
I'm
had
like,
no choice because I had
yeah.
the ATO was due in less than
hmm
like 6 months after I got in. So I had an ATO due also in less than 6 months again, and I'm just trying to learn what is in my environment.
So basically, you was going through all 7 steps of the process. You was validating controls, vulnerabilities, creating plans for vulnerabilities, and reaching out to system
Yes.
administrators. And just doing that process and updating documentation during that process.
Updating poems, yep. Closing poems, yep.
Okay, so
We
you're
had STIGs to do. Um, which helps harden your systems.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So okay, so going towards the 6 month, you finally, I think at that time I was talking, you finally get this ATO submitted, and you can kind of talk about that ATO process. No, yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, that ATO process basically, um, I had to gather all the documentation that was needed. I had less than 6 months to do it. Um, I don't know if you want me to go into depth with type of documentation. Did you want
Yeah,
me to
don't
go
no,
into?
don't talk
Okay.
too much about
All right.
documentation.
All
Just
right.
kind of
But
talk about the things you had to do to submit an ATO. But don't go
yeah.
into certain, situation.
Yes, yes. So it was a lot. It was a lot. I had to gather all the documents. I had to have meetings with my sky rep. I had to have meetings with my ISM because they wanted to make sure like where are you at? They want to know time frames and what you have completed so far, what you have gathered so far, and making sure that it was submitted within a timely manner. So again, this is where it came in where I did have to go in on some weekends to get things completed. Um, and ultimately it paid off. So
That's what's
I
up.
was able to get my program the longest ATO they've ever had in the program history. So um, it paid off. I felt really good, but it was very
Yeah,
stressful. I was very stressed.
trust me, I know really
Yeah.
well. So that's good. Like, so you submitted ATO.
hmm
Um, how long the ATO did you get?
It was 18 months. And
It was
again, it was
18
the
months. That's
longest.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. 18
Yeah.
month ATO. There's a lot of people that dream to have an 18-month ATO. So you did great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, so you submitted, and I think, and so how much, and also I forgot to ask, how much, what was the pay range for this position that you currently?
So, um, so now the pay range for this
That's about
position is
currently
currently,
before that the contract ended.
it was again, I took a pay cut, so it was between like 90 and 95.
Okay,
So,
so that's
yeah.
pretty good. And then after you get the ATO, the contract ended, and it was like, who we want to bring on? From all that, and I just want to let this know for young people before you get paid. I just want to let them know before you can really get paid money, you got to put in work, you got to put in hard work to make sure you know the information before people pay you. So if you don't, and so you get to the next contract, so they basically really wanted you to come back because you did a good job with the program.
Yes,
So
yes,
and so they gave you a pretty good pay raise to come back, basically.
yes, to stay on
Okay,
the program. Yes,
that's
they
good.
did.
Okay,
Yep, they
yeah.
were
So
appreciative and very happy with the work I did, which I was happy as well.
that's good. So that's a good story. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much we're pretty much coming to the end. I just wanted to know, like, so what's next in your cybersecurity story?
Um, I am just I know I'm gonna go for a better cert.
Mhm.
So I can move up maybe my CISM or my CISSP. Um, plan to get into that next year. Starting off the year, I want to complete that next year. Um, from there, I mean, I want to move up in this. I want to, become a ISM if possible, become a program manager. So I know I need one of those certs to do so. So I will definitely be going for one of those.
That's good. I'm gonna double back on you, make sure you got it. You know, just a lot of it. I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back around and peek over.
Yes,
What's up
yes.
with that cert?
The pressure is on. Yes.
Yeah. So to sum it up, that's pretty much it. Nisha gave a great story on what she did to get where she at in her career. I appreciate everybody for watching. We do a podcast every Tuesday. I just want to say for everybody, get 1% better. Peace out, everybody. I'll see you on the next one.